LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I
filed my return,
but I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do?
My refund, though. I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
So hello everybody and welcome to this special episode of the Shift podcast brought to you live from the wonderful Portobello Books in Edinburgh. I'm Sam Baker and I'm delighted to be here. I'm truly delighted to be here, not just saying it, with Catherine Newman, author of some of the most on-the-nose books about being a woman in midlife that I've ever read. Her best-selling debut, We All Want Impossible Things, which controversially is my favourite, Sandwich.
Love that.
And now the brilliant Wreck. So imagine if Nora Ephron and Elizabeth Strout's Lucy Barton met in a bar and did edibles together, and you have something approximating Catherine's creation, Rocky, and her family, Nick, Willa, Jamie, and her 93-year-old dad. A normal, loving, anxious, messy, unpredictable, relatable family living through a year of what-ifs that veer uncomfortably close to home. Wreck asks, how do we live when we don't know what next? Feels timely. Wow, very timely. Catherine's also written 2 memoirs, a couple of children's books, is an award-winning writer and columnist, contributes regularly to the New York Times and O Magazine. For 10 years, she wrote Real Simple's etiquette column, which fascinates me. I'm going to ask you about writing.
Please, good.
And she has an excellent Substack, Crone Sandwich, which I highly recommend you check out. If you're listening to this on the podcast, you can still get a signed copy of Wreck by going to Portobello Bookshop's website, theportobellobookshop.com, and I'll put a link in the show notes. Anyway, enough of all that. Valuable airtime.
That was such a great summary of Wreck. I feel like we have new flap copy. I mean, I thank you.
My work here is done.
I know. I really am. I'm like, what is Wreck about? Oh, it was that.
Oh, well, it's because somebody in the room who's very good at pitching wrote the press release, I expect. Anyway, welcome to Edinburgh, to the sea, which you can't see at the moment.
I know. I'm already in love with it. I'm jealous that you live here.
That's right. We can say that. So we don't usually do readings on the podcast, but I really think that because Wreck is so funny and dark and funny, that the only way to get that across is for you to tell us a bit more about the setup if you want and to read us a little bit.
I'm going to read you. Of course, I can't see with or without my glasses.
Nor can I. We're fine. You're among friends.
Hags, among hags. So Rocky is in her mid-50s, coincidentally. And like you said, living with her half-grown, 20-something daughter and her old dad and her husband. This scene is just her and her dad and her daughter. I'm going to read you about 3 pages, not quite 2. I'm going to scramble myself an egg, my dad says, in 5 minutes. You want a scrambled egg, Willa says. I got you, Grandpa. Really, my dad says, that would be lovely. I pour half a bottle of Pinot Noir into the pot, and it sputters and boils while I scrape at the bottom with a wooden spoon. Willa stands beside me to heat the egg pan. Sonny sits next to my dad on the couch to sort leaves. Sonny's Willa's best friend. My dad emits a sudden grunt of disapproval. What? I say. Jamie, he says. That's her son. I texted him to see if he wanted that beautiful dinner table of ours, and he said he didn't. Jamie and Maya live in a New York City 1-bedroom apartment the size of our 1-car garage. The only place you would be able to put a dining table is the kitchen, but you can't because there's a bathtub there. My parents' dining table is an enormous carved walnut affair with 12 chairs. It would not look out of place in a castle or a haunted boarding school. I can't believe he doesn't like it, my dad is saying. That table has universal appeal. Willa, scrambling my dad's egg next to me, laughs. Mom, she says quietly, don't get into it with him. Dad, I say, Dad, I am getting into it with him. First of all, did he actually say he didn't like it? I find that hard to imagine. Jamie is a puppy, all friendliness, agreeable curiosity. And second of all, Dad, nothing has universal appeal. That's not a thing. People have different tastes around the world, across history, for a million different reasons. Their apartment is furnished from IKEA. It's kind of hard to picture your table there. I wasn't meaning to set you off, Rachel, my dad says coolly. It sounds like you're not a big fan of the table either. No, I'm scraping the vegetables back into the pot, pushing my hair off my face with the back of my hand. Dad, I have a ton of affection for the table. I just feel defensive for Jamie. Well, he was a little harsh is all, he says grumpily and shrugs. Willa is buttering my dad's toast and she laughs. Grandpa, what did Jamie write? What exactly did Jamie write? I add a sprig of thyme and a bay leaf to the pot, put the lid on and pop it in the oven. Come dinner time, the meat will fall all to pieces if you so much as look at it, and it will taste of wine and salt and long heat. The potatoes will be smooth and buttery, the tofu braised and savory and kind to animals. I'll toss together a crisp green salad, dress it sharply, and we will sit at the table and know the meaning of life. A sheepish look passes over my dad's face before he reads Jamie's text out loud. What a lovely offer, Grandpa, our son has written. Maya and I really wished we had room for that table. We have such fond memories of eating all of Grandma's wonderful meals there. Thank you so much for thinking of us. Look forward to seeing you later in the month. Willa laughs, says, wow, that is harsh. She hands my dad a plate of eggs and toast, a fork, a napkin. He thanks her. I hear that it doesn't sound so bad, he admits. And I say, because I know how it feels to hurt your own feelings. Sometimes things just feel bad anyways. Thanks.
I think that little reading there just absolutely sums up the Catherine Newman-ness of your writing. That kind of the humor and that little bittersweet moment and the capturing the family dynamics and all of it just in that one tiny scene. And I'm really jealous of your capacity to do that. Please tell me it took 15 drafts.
Thank you.
You're going to say no, aren't you?
No, I write in such a strange way. It's like a little hard to even talk about. It's so weird. It has to do with a lot of the dialogue is kind of written for me, if you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes.
Like I have written it down in a prior moment when it was spoken aloud. So I feel like I'm cheating a little bit. A lot of it just exists and some of it I make up. And so that's why.
How do your family feel about you just stealing their conversations?
They are really accustomed to it, I would say. I think if the books weren't like love letters to them, they might feel different about it. I do think there's no missing it and they don't miss it. I mean, they see that that's what it is. So, I mean, everybody looks good really, but Rocky. I mean, her dad can be annoying, but like he's the funny. I think he's the funniest character, which my dad does appreciate about that character.
I think that one of the things that always strikes me is the effort your characters make to understand each other.
Thank
because
you.
So much is made, it feels to me at the moment, of generational divide.
Yeah.
And obviously that's then amplified on the internet and with everything being black and white and no grey. But your characters always feels like there's an attempt to open their minds to each other.
Yeah, that good faith. Yeah, thank you for that. I think it's tempting. The binary is so tempting, that like conflict-driven fiction sort of, it builds its own plot in a way. Plot's not like my best thing. I don't really understand how to make it. And conflict is a way to make more plot. But but I always want them to really love each other and really give each other the benefit of the doubt. I was sitting in the park. My daughter lives with my parents and in New York, and we were sitting in the park, and a stroller went by with a little kid in it, and my dad said, "Oh yeah, like look at him. He thinks he's such a prince." Or, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe maybe it's a she. She thinks she's it could be a they. And Birdie, my daughter, goes, Okay, Grandpa. And he says, "I'm a lifelong learner." Oh. And I was like, wow, only her, like only Birdie could get him, my daughter, who he adores, could get him to just stretch, just like stretch into it. Another story about my dad trying to understand, even though it goes a slightly different way, but a few years ago, he said to Birdie, this was when she was much younger. And he said to her, "What does cisgender mean? Like, I see it in the paper and I don't know what it is." And she went into this long thing that involved explaining to him what transgender was. And anyway, at the end of it, and he really seemed to be following along. And at the end of it, he shook his head and he said, "Jesus, when I was your age, you were a normal or you were a homo." It was so simple. And she was like, "Yeah, it sounds like it was really simple." But now here he is like he has learned so much since then because he loves her and because she's queer, and he is going to maintain that relationship like it's the last thing he's going to do on earth, because maybe it is.
Do you think he would have been as open-minded with you?
No, I don't. I really don't. And I just feel like if I really need to say something to him, I say it. I'm like, "Tell Grandpa he's got to," because there's something really magical about it. And I don't totally understand. Part of it's just their actual like chemistry as a pair of people. They really like each other. And part of it's something else that skips a generation, I think.
Tell us about Rocky. I mean, is Rocky just ultimately your alter ego?
Yes.
Just get that out of the way. Yeah.
I mean, alter is like really a generous distancing.
It would be insulting to say to I feel like female novelists.
Of course, the presumption, of mining their lives. And I used to say something sort of more complicated, and I'm like old and weary. I'm like, yeah, she's basically me. She's basically me. I mean, she's like weirdly a little meaner to her dad than I actually am, which is funny. I think that's kind of weird. That's the alter ego part where she's like a little more sassy. I'm a little more like, okay, Dad. But it's a lot of story sort of mined from life because, the caretaking that we are doing in middle age is so generative of story for me. I feel like there's so much to say about it. It's not always like fascinating. I have my daughter sends me my 1-star Goodreads reviews, which is so perverse. But there was one for sandwich that it was 3 words without any punctuation, and it was grinding and plotless. And I feel like I want like a tattoo of that. I'm like, tell me about it. Like, yeah, I know. Like this is what we're doing.
You almost want to put that on the cover, don't you? Because it's like so
grinding and plotless, like Jenny, whatever. I know, but I think...
And thank you, Birdie, for sending that through to make sure I saw it.
Isn't that so twisted? She just thinks they're really funny. And the truth is they're pretty funny.
Does she write, or has she also got a Willa type job?
She works with fruit flies. In a neuroscience lab.
So you'll never be able to get your revenge.
Except then she wrote something. She was lying between my parents watching Vera. I don't know if you watched Vera, but do you watch Vera?
Yeah.
I assume everyone here watches Vera because it's on our BritBox, which means you're all watching it. So Vera, and my parents
came through Vera Country on the way here.
Yes. So my parents are watching Vera at volume 11, and My daughter is literally lying in bed between them, but what she was doing was writing a little story about lying there watching Veer with them. And she sent it to me. And I thought, oh, here we go. This is it.
Was it grinding and plotless?
Yeah, it was in the best possible way.
What was going on in your life then when you sat down to write Rec? Because Rec is, I mean, you always major in, from what I think of as front row of funeral laughter.
Yeah.
Laughing at the bleakest moments. So, Rocky has a pretty tough time in this book.
Yeah.
Were you having a pretty tough time?
Yeah.
Tell us all about the pain you went through while you were writing Rec.
I'm not going to. But part of it was that I really did have this really small idea for a plot, which is unusual for me. Usually I make a million notes and shake it and see what it looks like. Like Sandwich came out of I had a list of menopause symptoms. I had all these notes from all these summers on the Cape. I had written some stuff about being in the middle. I Sandwich came from all this stuff, but Rec, I had this idea of this plot. There's an accident. It's not a spoiler. It happens right away, but there's an accident and Rocky at first thinks this accident is unrelated to her, except that it happens in this town and it's a kid who her kids knew a little bit at school. And it turns out this accident is sort of closer to her than she realizes. That part would be a spoiler. But I had this curiosity about an ethical dilemma about sort of responsibility for an accident. And I wasn't sure it was going to be these same characters, actually, but they leaked into it because that's who I know.
You would have had to make characters up if you hadn't used those characters.
Who could possibly make something up in fiction? I know every now and then I'm like, oh, I could solve this problem by making something up, like the way regular people solve problems in fiction. I mean, you mentioned We All Want Impossible Things, and which is a book about a friend taking care of her best friend who's dying in hospice. And there's a scene in that book towards the end where she imagines that her friend gets up out of bed and puts on her clothes and walks out, and that it's all been a terrible misunderstanding. And the reason I wrote that scene is I was stalling. I didn't want to write the scene where she actually dies because you'll be surprised to hear it was something that happened to me. So I kept stalling. I didn't want it to end. And at dinner one night, I said to my family, it was during lockdown, so everybody was home. And I said, I just realized it's fiction. I think maybe she doesn't even die. And they were like, Mom, that's going to be a terrible book. Right at the end, she rises up and walks out. It was all a terrible misunderstanding. But I just feel like that fictionness kicks around as a possibility.
This episode of The Shift is sponsored by Shopify. I can clearly remember starting The Shift. It's such a leap, isn't it? Going out there on your own, doing a new thing. I mean, what if it doesn't work? What if nobody listens? What if all the tech comes crashing down around me? Now, over 5 years and over 250 episodes later, I know different, of course. Starting The Shift was the best thing I ever did. And it helps to have a partner like Shopify on your side to help. For a start, they'll help you get the word out, like you have a whole marketing team behind you, with easy-to-run email and social media campaigns. Shopify's your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to shipping, returns, everything. And if you get stuck, their award-winning 24/7 customer support is always around to advise. It's time to turn those what-ifs into... With Shopify today. Sign up for your £1 a month trial today at shopify.co.uk/shift. Go to shopify.co.uk/shift. That's shopify.co.uk/shift. You started off writing memoir, didn't you? What made you turn to fiction?
So my friend died in hospice. so bad. And it's funny. I just don't really talk about this book that much anymore. So I forget what kinds of things I say that are slightly not true about it. But this is just the unvarnished truth for you and whoever listens to your podcast. But I was so blown apart by this experience of losing this person I loved so much. And also just she was so young and her death was so horrible. And we were in hospice for just like months. It was so hard and also so beautiful, as you know, if you've done that. So I had this thing I kept calling my falling in love disorder, where I was just madly in love with every single person. And maybe you know that experience or maybe you don't, but that feeling of like everybody who came into her room, I was just like a beating heart, just like in a bowl in the room. And so I said to her husband at some point, I want to write about this, but I want it to be a novel where the best friend is sleeping with everybody. And he said, you should write that. And so I did. That was the way I wanted to tell that story, because that felt like the best way to tell the truth of that story, even though that wasn't true. So then fiction opened itself to me as this way to get at really true things through fiction, which is so weird.
Yeah, it's weirdly easier to write the truth if it's not true.
Yes.
Officially.
Yeah. You can use better imagery, or you can sort of write metaphorically about things. And also you don't have to protect everybody, because the truth is they are fictional characters. So you're not actually just transcribing everybody's life onto the page most of the time.
Ish.
Most of the time.
So were you always a writer? What was little Catherine like?
Little Catherine was a writer. I was like nerdy little, your book people. So this probably you can relate. Like I learned to read and write in like the same month. And I was just like the zeal of the convert. I wrote a ton, every story was like, once upon a time, there was a stick of gum and nobody wanted to chew it. And it was really sad, whatever. All my like little sorrows filtered through fiction. And then I was made to feel that you could not say you wanted to be a writer. It was like I was trying to be a pro basketball player. Everyone was like, you can't be a writer. Like that's not a thing anybody is as a career. So I went and got a PhD for 10 years, which was a grave error, honestly. If you've ever gotten a PhD for 10 years, you'll know how long those 10 years are and how you go from being a young, optimistic person to being like your beard has grown down to the floor and you can't even believe you're still doing this thing. And then I got hired to write something. And then I was back to writing because I was paid to write something for a friend of mine. And I was like, wait, you'll pay me? Because if you do a PhD, you pay them. You write like a 400-page book and you have paid for the... And she was like, you're doing this all wrong. So here I am.
Was she just a friend being kind, or did she work for someone?
Just write this for me. No, she worked at a family magazine. This is really what happened. She said, I can pay you $500 if you write about 4 birdhouses you can make with things you already have in the house. I was like, I'm your girl, right? Here I am. I could not be broker. I'm waiting tables. I'm writing my dissertation. I was like, I got it. I made one out of a coconut that looked like a cat, which I thought was very funny. I don't know. I suddenly had carpentry skills. Like I could do anything for money. I had always said like, I'll do anything for money. And it was more or less true. And then she was like, that was great. Here's $500. Like, if I give you $1,000, will you write 12 Valentine ideas that you can make out of like stuff you have in the house? And this was the kind of magazine this was. And I was like, I'm your girl. And I, was like a piece of cheese and whatever, it was tube sock. I made all these crazy Valentines with stuff I had in the house. And then that was how my writing career started. Truly, those were the first 2 things I got paid for.
American journalists get paid so much more than British journalists, can I just say?
Wait, let me say, you couldn't make that now.
Yeah.
This was a different moment. I mean, now I could write that Valentine piece and I would be paid like $1 and a Cadbury fruit and nut bar for the privilege. Yeah, no, that was like the end of the magazine era. It was the late 90s.
So where did food come into this? Because food always plays a big part in your writing. Your writing about food is so evocative.
Thank you.
Where did that start? The love of food, the love of words? What?
So part of my childhood nerdiness was food related too. I read cookbooks, like cover to cover secretively. I was so weird. I look back, I'm like, nobody knew a thing about me. I lived in a house where nobody knew a single thing about me. Everybody went to bed. I took the joy of cooking. My parents had the joy of sex. No, I took the joy of cooking off the shelf, snuck it into bed, and like read it cover to cover. I was such a weird little foodie. I could imagine stuff. We had the Williams-Sonoma catalog. I don't know if you know Williams-Sonoma, but I mean, this was like the mid-70s. And there was a picture of an avocado. And I had never had an avocado. And I thought about it all the time. I knew what it would be like to eat it. And I was totally right, by the way. It was just like that in a good way.
It did live up to your expectations.
Yeah. But I think I've always been like food and food writing, even just cookbook writing, you know?
So sorry, I'm just like...
You're like, and then you're like, and then you would drink this abomination, an actual...
And now it's cold. So
I like it like that.
It's about... Okay, I just have to tell the people listening to the podcast who might not get at the very beginning. Catherine is drinking peppermint tea with milk.
What color is it?
It's khaki. It's disgusting. It looks disgusting.
Yeah.
And I will put a picture on Instagram for you.
Okay.
I can't remember what I was going to say now. So did you have siblings and things? Were you ignored by the family at large or just by your parents?
I had a brother. I wasn't trying to remember that. I have a brother. My parents had this, I mean, it was just a different moment. I think a lot of us our age, like nobody was minding the shop. You know, we just rattled around doing whatever weird stuff we were doing and nobody knew, and nobody cared about our little psyches, our little feelings. Nobody asked a single question about like my weird, anxious behavior. It was like, and my mom is British. So she was very look away. Like if something strange is happening or your child seems utterly peculiar, just like the polite thing is to look away from it. And so I just think I was so free in a weird way, lonely a little. My parents had a great romance, sort of to the exclusion of other relationships in the house. Like they were just madly in love all the time. And we were like, hello, I'm so weird. Does anybody care? And they did not care at all. And you had to, like, you could knock on their door if you'd thrown up more than twice. You know, they were just very doing their own thing.
Sorry, my glasses have steamed up.
Yeah,
not because of the joy of cooking.
But I think I was like a little lonely, just like, I don't know, but also creative in the way that we were because there was nothing else to do. Remember those days where you were like, I stole a pipe cleaner from my dad's actual pipe cleaners, not like an art supply, like a literal pipe cleaner. You could only take one or he would notice. And I could make that into like a billion things and spend all day doing it.
And that's your entire career depends on that because then somebody paid you, you know, $500
Thank you for
for making
piecing
a
it together for
there
me.
You go.
Right?
Like,
and then I know, and here I am.
Sorry.
I know. I just don't think people are lonely the way we were lonely. I mean, it's not true. People are lonely, but one of the beauties of the internet is that however weird you are, there's like a Reddit thread about it or a TikTok. Like nobody's like, I'm the weirdest person that ever lived anymore, right? I was the weirdest person that ever lived and there was no proof otherwise. Now there's just buckets of proof. However weird you are, someone is weirder than you. You can find it in 1 minute. I do this weird thing. Me too. Like 1,000 people. There's a whole Reddit group of people who do your weird thing, you know?
So do you spend as much time scouring the depths of the internet as Rocky?
No, I don't. But I spend some time scouring the depths of the internet for sure. It's funny. Somebody last night, we did an event. Where was that event? In London. I know. Sorry. What city was that? It was in a part of London. Anyway, thank you. Somebody said, what would this book have been if Rocky was dealing with her stuff before the internet? Because everything she knows in this book, everything about her health condition and everything about this accident, she learns online. And I thought, I'm nothing. She wouldn't have gone to the library and been like, I have a weird rash. Can you find a book for me about it? I mean, she might have. I might have done that. But yeah, I just think it's so different now.
Yeah, it's like the insomnia that Rocky has. It leads her to spend so much time on the internet. He used to just like lie in bed awake going, oh my God, how much longer? Not anymore. No. I can go and find other people who are not asleep.
Exactly. I know, and try not to wake anybody.
I want to force you back to being a little bit serious. I mean, the sandwich stage of life that Rocky is at in Sandwich and again in Wreck, it's, the young adult kids who have flown but are not necessarily quite cooked, and the aging parents that need, a fair amount of caretaking. Or caregiving. I mean, that's one of the things that interests me is whether the way it's referred to as either caretaking or caregiving.
I know, and what's the difference?
I don't know. I mean, which do you see it as? Because they're quite a different dynamic, aren't they?
I know, I've wondered about that, what it means. I'm not sure. I guess, caregiving sounds better. I'm certainly not taking a lot of care from anybody.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How has it shaped you?
I have two, you won't be surprised to hear, I have like two sort of very different feelings about it. One is that it's an incredible opportunity. It is so delicate and beautiful to have these relationships that are so loving and tender and difficult. And it's so gendered. I can't even believe it. This is going to sound like a side thing, but it's not. My husband's best friend from high school just invited us to go on this. They're very, very rich. They invited us to go on this whitewater rafting trip in the Grand Canyon. It's a 1-week trip. There are no phones and no cell service. And I thought, this is a trip designed for men. That's how I felt. I was so pissed off about it. We got this lovely invitation. I stormed around all night and then went to bed. I was like, who is our age and can just not be reachable for 8 days? And my husband was like, I'm thinking about going. I was like, yeah, I bet you are. Like up to bed, where I lay awake stewing. No, he wasn't really like that. He was more like, maybe we could rent a satellite phone. He was in fact a problem solver about it. I shouldn't mischaracterize him, but I just was so mad about it. And I felt like, wow, every woman I know is doing the thing I'm doing.
Yeah, and it just wouldn't occur to them. That they could go off without, just turn the phone off for 7 days.
Phone. How lovely to just tune out. It's a big part of the trip. They advertise the fact of that. How amazing. You just not a care in the world. Also, I'm sorry, the US right now, you'll come out and be like, wow, something happened while we were gone, while we were offline.
I want to ask you about that actually, because
I'm
sorry,
so
I'm going to just in the context of the book, because it would be almost impossible, I think, to write in the context of the current climate, because everything changes so quickly, it would be woefully out of date within minutes. So how did you write with some understanding of,
I know what you mean.
How
the
do you,
politics.
without feeling like you're completely removed from the world, but without making yourself look woefully out of date by Friday?
Right. I mean, the things that she's dealing with, there's, what we call in the US big consulting. Like, does that speak to you as a term? It's sort of like the people who help
it's kind of management consultancy.
Yeah. Like sorry if anybody here does it. I'm sure it's great and you're not part of this particular element of it. But, where it's like the drug company that got everyone addicted to opioids, you do the work of like managing the optics.
It's a crisis management, mostly.
Right. So that comes into play in the book a little bit around this accident. And then she's also dealing with big healthcare. The fact that in the US, all you do is talk to your insurance company. You spend every last penny you have on the insurance, and then every second of your life on the phone trying to get them to cover something. This is truly like day and night. You're on the phone like, no, actually it says in my plan. And they're like, no, you have to talk to, just so I think Rocky's engaged in these kind of slightly oblique ways that do have to do with the sort of like profit-driven moment of United States politics, or perhaps of global politics.
I mean, there is also playing into that as the family dynamics, because there's a moment, and I think it's talking about lamb, because of course we would be talking about food, where I think as Nick says, we as a family do not eat lamb.
It's true, he does say that.
And that kind of as a family thing is very important to Rocky, isn't it? What we do and don't do as a family.
Yeah.
So when, I'm trying not to spoiler, but so when this thing happens that leads us to address crisis management and who is responsible for what, it's actually rocking the family on its axis as well, isn't it?
Right. Which is, I think, I don't know if you guys who have kids have had this experience, but where, your kids are growing up and you're already in love with how you're going to handle their differences from you. Like, you're like, I'm the kind of mom who, like our kid came out as gay when she was 11. We couldn't have been more delighted. We were like, that's great. Like, we just, we'll get another daughter or whatever. And just like constantly in love with ourselves. And then the funny thing is, it's whatever the thing is that's actually hard for you, that's hard for you. So it's not necessarily the thing. Your kid will be different from you in some way that might actually challenge you. Like, that you're a family of atheists and suddenly your kid has like a mild interest in religion. And you're like, what the, what is your problem? Whatever. And so I think Rocky's got some of that where there it is. The book, the thing with the lamb, their son says, hey, you guys, I actually ate lamb and it was really good. And I'm sort of annoyed that I was made to feel my whole life like lamb was not good. And his dad's like, that's because lamb is bad and we don't eat it. And I do think there is so much of that in families, that feeling. My dad will come to our house and be offended that we get a different brand of orange juice from them. Where he's like, we are a Tropicana, we raised you to buy Tropicana orange juice. And I'm like, yeah, we did. Sorry, Dad.
So you gave up drinking, didn't you?
Why, yes, I did.
Why? For transparency's sake, I have also given up drinking.
I know. Believe me, I don't want to be weird and give you like a too visible feeling about yourself. But when I was giving up drinking, you posted a picture, like a before and after of yourself. Do you know the picture I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know the before picture, yeah.
And you framed it.
Kind of grey, I have to say.
You framed it as a picture basically about this choice. And I was grappling. I was down to some woeful small number of drinks a week that was worse than not drinking at all. I'm just saying, if anyone's ever thinking about cutting back, I just quit. It's just so much easier.
Oh yeah, moderation sucks.
I was drinking 4 drinks a week for a year. It was all I thought about. I would wake up and be like, is today a day I'm going to have a drink? Should I save it for tomorrow? Just like all day, it was just running. It was like a ticker tape in my head, which reminded me of when I used to smoke 1 cigarette a week. Come on. What kind of life is that? My whole life was like, any smokers? Should I bum a cigarette off of one of these nice people, like at a party? No, all of it is awful. So I quit drinking for a lot of complicated reasons. One uncomplicated reason is that I drink too much. That's not that complicated. And it's the best. I keep saying, and I feel like I should be hired by like some sort of sobriety association. But the only thing I like as much as I liked drinking is not drinking.
Yeah, I don't miss it at all. Do you drink fake alcohol?
I did when I quit, and now less and less. I don't even care that much. Do you? I drink this horrible, the tea bag bobbing around and the...
I do drink fake alcohol.
I like
because it was the ritual, I think, for me more than the drink.
It was more the drink for me, just to be, I just don't want to over-identify with the part that's not true for me. The drink was really the thing and the ritual. And for when I first quit, it was very important. We were stocked up with wine that was literally more expensive than the wine I'd been drinking, non-alcoholic wine that I was paying more money for than the fairly shitty wine I had always drunk. Anyways, but now I don't care that much. I'm happy to drink whatever.
And non-alcoholic wine is mainly disgusting anyway.
It's really not great. I had
It's
one.
not fooling anyone.
I had one that tasted like a cigar butt in a really good way. Like it just had that like smoky, terrible, it was like ash. And so, when wine is like so bad, it's good. It had that, but it was expensive.
Are you one of those people who still kind of craves the smell of smoke in her hair after a heavy night? Yeah. I knew
oh my
you would be.
God, of course. Oh, I'm the person who will lean close to somebody smoking while everyone else is like backing away. Yeah, I'm waiting. A lot of people at the hospice, I volunteer in hospice, and not a small number of people in hospice returned to smoking. I don't want to reveal this terrible secret about hospice. And you shouldn't do it because you should live out the rest of your days clean with your lungs feeling fine. But I relate 100%. The people who are like, wheel me out, I'm lighting up. I'm like, yeah, I am going to be that. I'm going to be like, my last words are going to be like, wheel me out. I'm going to light up for one last time.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me.
Thank you.
Perfect sense.
LinkedIn is pretty great at a lot of things, like helping you tap into the latest trends and insights in your field. We cannot stop your coworker from tapping her pencil. LinkedIn can help you find new jobs that align with your career goals. We cannot help you find the source of that weird smell in the office fridge. Ew. And while we can't stop your coworkers from bringing their hobbies into the office, LinkedIn can help you bring your career to the next level. LinkedIn is the network that works for you.
Before I take some questions from the audience and the online audience, which I feel a bit resentful about because it's eating into my precious time. But I'm going to drag you to talk about menopause and middle age because we're on the shift and
yes,
we need to do that.
This is what we do.
And you haven't written about that so much in Rec. It was very to the fore in Sandwich. How's yours?
Is
it better?
It's so much better.
Is that HRT?
No, I can't take that because of the weird ailments I have. But no, it's just better. I feel like I just grew out of a lot of it. I don't know. It's so much better. And also the shock has worn off of how horrible it was. I don't know. I feel like we talked about this at this event last night where somebody was like, well, there didn't used to be menopause. Everybody just dealt with it. I was like, I think there was menopause. I'm feeling like, but I was sort of, when I was 12 years old and someone came into my classroom to teach me about the wonders of the human body. This was my takeaway, even though I don't think this is what the person said, and I don't think they used this metaphor. My takeaway was, you will turn 12 and a half. You will step onto this train, and the train is having your period every month for 40 years. And then you will just gently step off of it when you get to a different station. It was nothing like that. It was like, you're on the train and someone gets on the train and is like murdering you with a knife and drags your bloodied corpse off the train, and then you kill somebody else. And like, it was not at all like just the cessation of a thing. It was like the extent of menopause was going to be that a thing ended and you were the same, but without that thing. It was nothing like
more
that.
like it was ripped off you.
Yeah. And you were just like Jekyll and Hyde into this horrible, where it was like, I looked like me, but was I really like me at all? Where you could see I'm glad he's not here to hear this, because he would be like, no, honey, but I would watch his face be like, what's her mood? Like that feeling of like, hi, how was your day? Scanning for like, drama or rage or whatever. So I don't feel like that anymore.
You don't feel ragey anymore.
No, I do feel ragey. That's not true. But I'd feel more ragey at like appropriate things.
At the world.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Instead of just sudden boiling over at some perfectly innocent person.
Somebody trying to scramble an egg in the wrong pan or something.
Like that. Yeah. Better.
And what about the whole kind of physical aspect of aging? Have you felt like you should be having a little tweak?
Should I be? Just kidding. No, not really. I mean, it's funny. I just had this weird realization that I really feel like whatever anybody does is fine. It's like an extension of choice politics, I think, that the thing is not to feel like you have to, but if you want to, that's great. Like it's just a spectrum. I put cream on my face. It's not like I don't participate. Like, why I feel good about that. But then if somebody were to come at me with a needle, I'd be like, I don't know. I think all of it is okay and a little unfortunate. I mean, I am also cultivating some of my wrinkledness, and I'm hoping just to be at the front end of like the new crony. It's going to be hot and hip, and I'm just going to have these like really deep wrinkles, and someone will do like a photo essay about it. And do you think?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, good.
And I think the whole going grey thing is going to be a movement as well.
I think really already is. I mean,
have you ditched the frownies? Does everybody know what frownies are? Americans know what frownies are, maybe. You have to explain what a frownie is.
I can't believe you're doing this.
Of course I am.
I love this. This is like a bridge too far. The frownie, which, okay, I haven't ditched, but I'm going to explain this. This is not exactly pure vanity. A frownie is a sticker you stick between your eyes so that those really bad wrinkles aren't as bad. But it's partly because it helps my migraines. I know this sounds so specious, but the non-collapsing of my face overnight actually seems to help my headaches. Isn't that great?
I'm going to let you have that. I don't really believe you, but I'm going to let you have it.
I know, it's funny. I don't know. I don't have a ton of, I have some vanity, but it's mostly like inappropriate vanity where I actually think I look so great most of the time without really doing much at all. You don't need to disabuse me of that, because I'm just going to stick to that. I don't know. I care less and less, I think.
Yeah, I think it's that. I mean, maybe if you were, I was never a babe. Maybe if you were a babe, losing the babeness is tough.
I also was not a babe. I was always like kind of like strangely attractive, which I just feel like I basically still am. It's the same. It's just like different age of it, of being strangely.
I think maybe
It's like she's not exactly hot, but there's something, I don't know. Like, okay.
I have to say I feel quite proud because I did once interview Maria Semple, and afterwards she said to me, I have said things to you that I've never heard come out of my mouth before.
I feel like, oh my God, who knew? Who knew I thought that?
Right. We are running out of time, so I'm just going to ask you the questions that I always ask at the end.
Okay.
So your mind will probably go completely blank now. What is your emotional age?
Oh, yeah, right. Oh, these questions. Oh, my God. I mean, it's like 5 and 12 and 90, but I'm going to pick one.
You're allowed to vacillate. People do often say 5 and 80, for instance.
I do feel that I was thinking one of the things about my dad he's turning 94 and I'm so his child. And that makes me, for however long he's alive, be a child. I am his child. He, puts his hand to the small of my back when we're going through a doorway. And so I'm like a child in that way. And I'm like somebody's mom, I guess 57 is the age I'm going to have to go with.
One thing I meant to ask you before I did this.
Yeah.
Can you envisage, it was when you mentioned Lily King, can you envisage a Rocky prequel?
Where she's just like a depressingly neurotic 25-year-old and all her friends are going clubbing and she's home like fretting about random things for no reason.
Or maybe not.
Maybe. Why maybe? Grinding and plotless, the prequel.
Okay, book recommendation. Apart from Lily King, what would you push on a friend right now?
Right now. I'm trying to think. I mean, I am so torn because I feel like we all just need a break, It's like people recommend things to me and they're like, it's so good. It's like dark and apocalyptic. I'm like, no thanks. I don't really think I've got enough of that. I'm trying to think what book I keep recommending to people. Do you like how my mind is going blank? Honestly, yeah. It's just like panic scrolling down in like a panicky, like unscroll. I guess it turns out I can't answer that because my mind
put you out of your misery and move on. And then if you think if something pops into your head before we get to the end.
Give me an idea. What book would you recommend right now? And then I'll say the same. I don't know. I feel like just things that just make you feel hopeful. I don't know. It's not even a specific book recommendation, but that feeling where it's like the thing I crave right now is unfoolish, profound optimism. So whatever that is a book. That's what you should be reading.
If anybody knows what that book is, let us know. What advice would you give younger women?
Yeah. I mean, it's so hard to think about that because I feel like protecting I'm always loath to be the like man hater in a room. Like my daughter and her friends are over and I'm like, don't let them tell you who you are. But I that's who I am. Like, I'm like, just hold all the parts of yourself that are like precious and yours, your way of seeing the world and the things that matter to you, and just to be like shameless in the truest sense about those things, like shame without shame, no shame, that kind of shameless, just to inhabit the world without shame, that your body is always going to be failing in a million different ways. And there's, Sam Irby. Okay. Do you know Sam Irby? Mm. This is who everyone should read. She writes memoirs like basically that are the funniest thing you ever read. And they're all about having Crohn's disease. And I feel like that act of generosity is what we need. Like someone who's just like, oh, your body's failing, my body's failing. All our bodies are failing because we are fallible human people. So just no shame.
Who is your old broad role model?
My old broad role model. It's so funny. Somebody said to me today in an interview, someone said, who would play you in the movie? And I was like, Walter Matthau. My old broad role model. God, I mean, Joni Mitchell, just like her comeback kills me. I listened to Blue like it was a religion I was finding, you know, that feeling of like, oh, somebody gets me. And it's this like depressed, slightly addicty singer. And now here she is like coming back to the stage. I'm just obsessed with her.
What's your superpower?
Laughing and crying in the same moment.
And last one, how many fucks do you give?
I give all the fucks, but only about the real things. I don't give any fucks about the stupid stuff, but I give all the fucks about the real things. And I feel like it's a right to, you know, like we have to really give a lot of fucks right now.
Thank you, Catherine, so much. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Please join me in thanking Catherine for being brilliant. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy The Shift and would like to show your appreciation, why not buy me a coffee? Go to www.buymeacoffee.com/The Shift with Sam Baker. You can hear a new episode of The Shift every Tuesday, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like what you hear, please do rate, review, follow, tell your friends, because it really does help other people find us. And if you'd like to know more about my own experience of shifting, my book, The Shift, How I Lost and Found Myself After 40, and you can too, is out now in paperback.